It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, it's April 14th, and that means it's Reman Day, and I couldn't think of a better guest to have on the show on Reman Day than Tricia Judge. Tricia Judge, you've seen her before. She heads up the International Imaging Technology Council. And Trish, how are you doing on Reman Day? This is a big day for you, right?
It's huge. It's our Super Bowl. It's Reman Day.
You know, yeah. It's kind of interesting. So give a little history about Reman Day. I believe it started in 2017. Why did it start, and what do you accomplish on this day, I guess?
Well, it did. It started back in 2017 when the Remanufacturing Industries Council declared the day Reman Day. And the Remanufacturing Industries Council is made up of all the companies across all the industries that remanufacture. A couple of the big ones that come to mind are Caterpillar and John Deere, because they actually have to remanufacture tractors and farm equipment, and so they have a very strong reman group. And of course, all of the industry associations are part of RIC's RAA, which is the Remanufacturing Association Alliance. So we've had Joe Cripley from the Automotive Parts Manufacturing Association on, and there are several associations: medical device reprocessors, aeronautic remanufacturers. I mean, you name it, it's out there. There's also a really interesting company called America's Remanufacturing Company that actually is in the business of drilling down into remanufacturing of everything from Dirt Devil vacuums on up to sophisticated wine storage equipment. So it's a fascinating field, and it's great to have a day.
Well, it is kind of interesting, and it brings awareness to it at the very least. You know, let me just ask you this. And I know we had Joe from the auto, remanufacturing industry, and they seem to be a little bit in line with kind of our OEMs in our industry. But are these other industries, are the original equipment manufacturers so negative to remanufacturing like we see in the print sector?
No, they are far more conducive to remanufacturing. They often work with the aftermarket people to smooth out the transition, and some of them are even designing for remanufacturing. The forward-thinking OEMs do not interfere with the restoration and reuse of their products.
Well, it'd be interesting if we could get an OEM that was willing to step up and do that. And I know there's some interesting laws passed, so I don't want to take a lot of your time, but I do want to cover a couple of them. In LA, they passed talk about the single-use plastic thing that's going on in LA County, California, because this is very interesting, and it could be something that spreads across the entire country. And then in Europe, they came out with some pretty tough legislation, so I want to talk about those too. But let's start out in California.
Okay, well, in Los Angeles, they passed a resolution that bans single-use plastic cartridges. Their hope is that they will encourage remanufacturing, not just in LA County, but also statewide. In their resolution, they call on the legislature to enact legislation statewide that would ban single-use plastic. I mean, if you think about it, Ray, with 375 million inkjet cartridges and toner cartridges are thrown away every year. Yeah. That's 1 million a day, more than 1 million a day.
Yeah, that's a lot. And that's really around, like, we some people call them clones, if you will, but a lot of them come out of Asia, they come out of China. But they're single use. They replace an OEM, but it's not a remanufactured from an OEM original. It's just let's make another cartridge. So it does. The only benefit, I guess, is that the end user could hypothetically save some money. Is that correct?
It's all about the bottom line. But at the same time, remanufactured is actually more cost effective because you can reuse over and over again. There's 150 million pounds of industrial grade plastic from cartridges goes into landfills every year. Imagine if we could divert that. And sadly, I mean, the remanufacturing industry has shrunk while in the cartridge supply chain. In other industries, remanufacturing is exploding because people are falling for it. So it's really tragic and a trend that I would dearly love to see reversed. One of the other things we did for Reman Day is we all of the big remanufacturing companies and the associations went to their local community and talked to them about getting a proclamation for Reman Day. And I'm very proud to say that the city of Las Vegas and the city of North Las Vegas both proclaimed today Reman Day.
Well, that's pretty cool. So it's getting momentum. It's only a few years old, so it's kind of getting some momentum. Very, very interesting. So let me ask you, I'm back to this LA law with the single-use plastic. Will they actually include that in their RFPs if they want to go out and buy toner? I mean, have we seen any?
That's the hope. That's the plan. And I know, the few remanufacturers that are left in the Chatsworth area, the Planet Green has been at the forefront of this resolution. They are pushing to make sure that the resolution has more than just words on a paper, that it really gets some teeth.
Well, let me ask you this: so we have all of our friends that in the document imaging channel, my friends, those folks that are selling print equipment, supplying it, and servicing it. If they're working with government agencies in LA County, and and they're part of this bid process, that's something they should be aware of. And maybe can you help them, give them all the information so they can reach out to you? And I'll put the link to you on the video. But
absolutely. Okay. If you want to learn more about how to source good remanufactured product from dedicated industry members like my members, I am here for you.
Awesome. So the other thing is this European law. And last time we got together, we had the alias character, the OEM executive, Mr. Harry P. But we were kind of joking around about the greenwashing that we hear from the major OEM out there. We all know who I'm talking about, right? And part of this law in Europe is they want to stifle actual greenwashing. Is that right?
That's correct. I am so impressed with Europe. I mean, Europe is doing so much. Or look at Italy. Italy not only has called out HP for its bad behavior, but it's also enacted a bid process that requires that at least 20% of every bid to a state agency or a government agency is remanufactured. I mean, they are walking the walk.
So I wonder how that's going to work now. HP runs around there kind of browbeating dealers into signing this Amplify agreement so they can police all the activity of all the cartridges they're buying and all that stuff. So you got the folks over in Italy saying, well, you want to sell us stuff, HP, 25% of those supplies have to be remanufactured. That's pretty damn interesting.
Yes, it's going to get even more interesting because, HP's blatant lies about its green programs are going to be called upon. As a matter of fact, the Department of Energy here in the United States has recently brought a complaint to the Global Electronics Council because HP is selling these firmware inundated products, and that runs against the ability to use a remanufactured product in the printer. And if they have that little EPEAT logo on their printer, then they're violating their Global Electronics Council commitment. So they're going to get caught. And that's the Department of Energy is doing this.
Well, I think it's they think they're so big and they get away whatever they want. But it's kind of interesting that there's being more pressure put on them. But the greenwashing thing is just ridiculous. And hopefully they can, make them clarify what the hell they're actually talking about when they spew that nonsense. Well, Trish, I know it's an important day for you. You're probably heading off to some festivities,
Got my green attire on.
There you go. You got the green attire. You're probably going to shoot off some fireworks or whatever it is. But
yep. Actually, we're going to meet up at Zfolio, which is an automotive aftermarket company in Illinois.
Sweet.
And I'm going to take some of my friends from Clover, and the Automotive Parts Association is going to be there, Caterpillar. We're going to have a big Reman Day meet and greet.
Well, let's get some pictures online over that because, Trish, everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and happy Reman Day.